that move from Locatelli. So this is a very good, just grinded out result from Locatelli. That's what Yamaha want to see from him. Obviously for Toprak, it's been a tough day at the office for him. 5 seconds behind this man,
Álvaro Bautista immediately moving into clear air as they head down towards turn number 1. He's going to turn across the path now of Alex Lowe's to claim 3rd position. So 1 place already gained for the reigning world champion, and your titanic trio lead the way. It's Ray from Razgatlioglu and Bautista. Lowe's trying to come back at him, going the long way around. He'll try and set himself up in towards the Strubben for the first time and down the Beanslang. It's Ray who leads from Razgatlioglu. Side by side further back down the order as Andrea Locatelli tries to pinch 5th position now from Scott Redding. Decent start from Axel Bassani. He's already made his way up, having been penalised down to 11th position. He's shaken free into 8th place. And Michael Ruben Rinaldi from P16 is already up into the top 10. So 3 Ducatis line astern there with Bassani, Petrucci and Rinaldi 8th, 9th and 10th positions. Perfect start for Jonathan Ray. But this is where Álvaro Bautista will get right onto the tail of Toprak Razgatlioglu and try to upset your pole sitter and the man who started directly alongside him, Razgatlioglu. Here goes Alex Lowe thinking about a recovery on Álvaro Bautista. Close pace between the top 4. They've already broken clear though. Scott Redding in 5th position.
You can see for Bautista as we ride on board with him as we head down towards the slipstream run towards the chicane at the end of the lap. This is where he's going to the easiest place to make the move, but you got to follow the riders around you as well. And you can see there, Toprak just able to edge out a little bit at this stage of the track.
Here goes Alex Lowe again on Álvaro Bautista, tries to catch him by surprise. Bautista was setting himself up for the exit, and Alex Lowe squeezes through. That's enabled Ray and Razgatlioglu to break slightly away at the end of the opening lap. It's Ray who leads from Razgatlioglu. Lowe's in front of Bautista. Bautista, though, has got the advantage down the 300-metre run towards turn number 1 and recovers that P3.
Lowe's been very strong into the chicane all the way through the weekend, so he's been able to make that move on Bautista. He'll try and do something similar again, you'd imagine, throughout the course of this race. Just to go a little bit further back, Bassani into this corner in the opening lap looked like he was very wild and up on the inside curve trying to make some moves, but he's up there into P7 now.
Bautista's scrap with Alex Lowe's, meanwhile, has brought Scott Redding and Andrea Locatelli right back onto them. Just over a second covering your lead sextet. Axel Bassani another 7/10 of a second further back in 7th place, still ahead of Rinaldi, also ahead of Xavi Vierge and Remy Gardner. So Danilo Petrucci again suffering in the early laps. He's been relegated to 12th position as Loris Baz drops a spot. He's now behind Iker Lecuona in P14. Lowe's well back this time around from Álvaro Bautista. Not going to be close enough to try and make a recovery move for the podium places. Bautista's now got 4/10 of a second in arrears.
Yeah, lost about a quarter of a second in the middle of the lap, so he needs to just get his head down in this part of the track and see if he's able to close back onto Bautista. But you know it's going to be tough to stay with those top 3.
And what a top 3 they are. They are our 3 most recent world champions. Álvaro Bautista, the reigning world champion. Toprak Razgatlioglu, the man he took the title from, and Toprak himself, the man who ended the run of consecutive crowns for Jonathan Ray. Ray is your race leader here in Assen, but at this stage of the race he looks a little bit vulnerable. Toprak clearly faster than him as they come from the chicane to complete lap number 2. An opportunity on the brakes in towards turn 1. Not quite close enough as they head into the northern loop.
You can see there, though, a little bobble for Jonathan Ray on the braking point there as well. That's going to give confidence to Toprak as well. Maybe a move into turn 5.
Might catch him by surprise in towards the Strubben, the slowest corner on the circuit. Razgatlioglu all over the tail here of Ray, and he'll want to clear him quickly because Bautista will be menacing by the time they get to the end of the Beanslang and through turn 6 and 7. So watch for Bautista's pace here. It is the green Kawasaki leading the blue Yamaha, and then the red Ducati of Álvaro Bautista with a new fastest lap of the race, a 1:34.368. It was a 1:34.6 for both Ray and Razgatlioglu last time around.
Yeah, Ray collected things well there, but you can see how much faster Toprak is in his corner in a couple of places so far this lap.
And the other Kawasaki of Alex Lowe struggling similarly. Scott Redding almost through on him there, and Andrea Locatelli looking fast as well. So Bautista, if he clears Razgatlioglu, should be easily through on Ray. The best thing that Toprak now can do is pass Ray and put a fight between himself and the current championship leader.
Yeah, we've said this a lot over the last few years though, but typically when one of them comes through, the other one immediately attacks back, costs themselves time. Toprak needs to make the move nice and clear, because you can see at the top of that shot just how close Bautista is to him as well.
Yes, very close between the lead trio, less than 3/10 of a second covering them, and no change for the moment at least. This is Redding against Lowe's, 4th, 5th and 6th positions. Locatelli is in there as well. Bautista feinting to the inside as they come through the Geert Timmer curve. Lap 3 coming to its conclusion then. Jonathan Ray at the head of the field, 0.2 of a second his advantage as they came off the final turn. Toprak's eating all of that back up though, under braking in towards turn number 1. Bautista a little bit wayward there at the start of lap 4. He's given up a bit of ground. Alex Lowes is now 1.5 seconds back from Álvaro Bautista. Lowes still 4th.
But it's Bassani that's the man in the move right now as well. 0.6 of a second faster than the riders in front of him last time round. He's closing up on the back of Locatelli.
But largely you'd say that's because Lowes is running 0.9 of a second a lap slower than the 3 men ahead of him. He's bunching up Redding and Locatelli, and that's what's enabling Bassani to get into the action. Yes, it was a new personal best lap last time around from Bassani. He's not quite matching the pace of the leaders, Razgatlioglu and Bautista. At the moment, the ceiling for Bassani, you would say, is that 4th position, but it does look very much available to him.
Yeah, the 4th position right now, but it depends on what happens with that Kawasaki at the front. You certainly think that Toprak needs to come through soon because Bautista's got that bike working right now. He's got everything up to temperature. He's ready to make some moves. The one thing that seems to be a little bit in Toprak's favour is his bike's much better through turns 12, 13, 14, 15. That's a section of the track where if the wind picks up, it gets very difficult to handle the bike through there. So maybe in the early stages, Bautista just building up in that section.
Well, the thing is, of course, for Bautista, he doesn't mind playing the long game because he will expect that he will have the advantage later on in races. Does tend to be the case that he is the most confident in keeping his tyre light for later on. Again, he's not quite close enough on the attack into the Geert Timmer curve, and Toprak Razgatlioglu defends that 2nd place, but Bautista will feel that he's the one who can up his pace on demand later on in this race. Coming in then to lap number 5, Ray, 0.4 of a second now ahead of Razgatlioglu. Bautista still just a couple of tenths of a second back. Alex Lowes still 1.5 seconds down on Bautista. Redding, Locatelli, Bassani queuing up behind him.
That looked like there might have been a mistake for Locatelli in the background as well. It looked like Redding had a lot of space between himself and maybe Bassani.
Yes, and Bassani has come through on Andrea Locatelli. You can see him in front now of the number 55 Yamaha. So Locatelli drops down to 7th place. There's 2.5 seconds then behind Locatelli to Michael Ruben Rinaldi, who's best of the rest in P8.
Yeah, so Lecona coming through on Rinaldi as well there, and it looked like Xavi Vierge lost a lot of ground in the end of the last lap. He had been at the front of this train coming into the end of the last lap.
Yes, and luckily down now to P13 because Dominic Egerter has got through on him as well as Danilo Petrucci. We're going to see what happens here.
We're going to see Rinaldi come down the inside, a bit of contact there, and Xavi with nowhere to go through the GT chicane has to stand the bike up and just run through the gravel.
Yes, and Xavi Vierge rejoining the circuit, of course losing a bundle of positions, and that'll be pretty frustrating for him. He's another man who's come faster as races have gone on. He'll be optimistic of recovering some of those places, but that's doing his early chances no good whatsoever. We're on lap number 5 of 21.
Much closer there for Bautista through that section of the track, which could present chances for GT.
Here comes Álvaro Bautista, lap 5, and he makes his move at last on Toprak Razgatlioglu. He's got closer and closer and closer, finally makes it stick. He's got 300 metres to try and break away from Toprak Razgatlioglu, and he has done so in towards Harbot for lap number 6. It's Ray then with a 0.5 second advantage over Álvaro Bautista, who is visibly faster than the men around him at this stage.
New personal best last time around though from Ray, so he's at least pushing on with everything he has right now, but you'd certainly think that Bautista's going to get close.
Iker Lecuona is down on the 6th lap, and his miserable recent run continues. He was struggling as it was in the first third of this race, and Lecuona trying to get the machine back started again, but it's game over for him in race 1.
Yeah, had been in that battle for 8th with the likes of Rinaldi and Gardner and that group, but unfortunately for Lecuona, that's something we've seen probably a little bit too often on the rider. Now into his 2nd season, he knows the importance of being able to get those big points and put points on the board really, because it hasn't really seen
continuing to scrap it out further back. Remy Gardner has now moved up into 8th position. Danilo Petrucci into 9th. Michael Ruben Rinaldi still fighting it out with Dominic Egerter. It's a robust defence of his position, as perhaps you might well expect, and he has got back into P10. Rinaldi had made that pass.
Yeah, Domi goes well around this track. We've obviously seen it in the Grand Prix classes, Moto E, and also in the Super Sport series. So for Domi, he knows that there's a chance of being able to score some decent points.
Bautista's made up 4 tenths on this lap against Jonathan Ray. This is a matter of time. He's all over the back of him now at the end of lap 6. Bautista won't be close enough in towards turn 1 though, I don't think, on lap 7.
No, but he'll be close enough into turn 7, you'd imagine.
Yes, that could well be where the move is made at the end of the first sector. Acceleration off the Strubben, the slowest corner on the circuit, and then down the main slang towards that chicane at turns 6 and 7. So Bautista will already be thinking about setting up that move. Ray escaping away a little at the end of that last lap, just to put a little bit of daylight between himself and the championship leader. But we could very soon be looking at a fight for second position, which frankly is what was predicted before we got underway. We know Bautista has got the long run pace.
Yeah, Ray doing what he can just to stay at the front, and Bautista edging closer and closer to him, but not close enough right now to try and make the move. We did see him make the move on Toprak into the chicane at the end of the lap, so for Bautista it's just about trying to bide your time, wait for the opportunity, and then hit the front.
Jonathan Ray giving it everything he has got. Alex Lowe's likewise further back in 4th position. He has opened up 4/10 of a second advantage now over Scott Redding. A new personal best lap last time around from Alex Lowe's, a 1:34.8, so similar to the pace of Toprak Razgatlioglu, who is 2 seconds up the road. Bautista clambering onto the tail now of Jonathan Ray.
This is the most important corner of the track as well. This is where if you get that drive, it keeps it close enough to make the move into the chicane. Bautista's close enough. Well,
Bautista might even get it done before the chicane at this rate, because he is scrambling onto the tail of Jonathan Ray. Less than a bike length between them now on lap number 7. Bautista already made his pass on Razgatlioglu. Ray is going to hold on for as long as he possibly can. A third race distance, and Bautista looking very menacing indeed. Razgatlioglu with a new personal best lap as he hopes to pick up the pieces if there is any drama between Ray and Bautista. Still only a third of a second between your lead trio, our 3 most recent world champions.
Yeah, you'd have to say on the balance what we've seen so far, Jonathan Ray is probably the rider most under threat right now, because we've seen Bautista get close to him. We've obviously seen Toprak in the early stages look like he had a bit of potential to try and have a nibble, but for Jonathan Ray, it's about trying to hold on at the front. Kawasaki's made big changes to that bike to try and improve front tyre life. This is the stage of the race where that starts to come into the factors.
No luck at all mechanically for Michael Ruben Rinaldi on Friday here in Assen, and no pace frankly on Saturday. He's down in 13th position. We just saw him passed by Michael van der Mark. This is some of the action further down the order for the last of the points paying positions. Philip Ertl moving through on Bradley Ray, but not all of the Ducatis are having things their own way, are they? Michael Ruben Rinaldi down in 13th position, and in terms of his fight with the Moto Corsa Ducati of Axel Bassani, who sits up in 6th place, this is bad news.
A couple of tenths of a second slower per lap than the race leaders, but he's there close to Van der Mark as well.
Rinaldi having come into this race just 4 points behind Axel Bassani, would be 16 points behind him if things stay as they are at present, and there are no real signs of Rinaldi moving forwards. I don't think he's going to drop any more positions, having already dropped down to P15, just 1 point available for 15th place. Remember, Loris Baz is another 8 seconds further back, but this has been a miserable race nonetheless for Michael Ruben Rinaldi. Michael van der Mark at the front of this group in P12, ahead of Garrett Gerloff, Philip Ertl, and now Rinaldi. Further up through the order, it would appear that Scott Redding has now lost 7th position. So Dominic Egerter coming through, and Redding continuing to tumble backwards as the leaders enter the penultimate lap of the race.
Yeah, Scott losing a lot of ground in the 3rd sector last time for Egerter, and for Domi, it's another good, consistent ride. He's just kept his head down. He's been able to run in the 35s. And last time around he was about a half second faster than Lowe's, but he's got 1.7 seconds to make up, so with 2 laps to go you'd imagine Lowe's should be able to hold on to that top 6 spot.
Yes, this is Scott Redding then in 8th position now. Quick run through the order. Álvaro Bautista leads the way. 3.5 seconds his advantage over Jonathan Ray. 1.5 seconds further back is Toprak Razgatlioglu in 3rd. It looks unlikely, barring dramas, that the podium places now will change. Axel Bassani 6 seconds further back has got Andrea Locatelli all over his tail. The race from here to the finish is going to be for 4th position. Locatelli gradually making progress as the laps have gone on during this race. Already made his way through on Redding and Lowe's. Lowe's in 6th position. Dominic Egerter also finding his way through on Scott Redding. That's for P7. Remy Gardner and Danilo Petrucci rounding out your top 10. Gardner at one stage I thought was closing down Egerter. Egerter's done well to dig in and accelerate away and take P7. This is your scrap then. It was your scrap for 4th position. Bassani versus Locatelli.
Yeah, we know that Locatelli's been given a track limits warning, but he knows that the important section is this part of the track to see if he's able to get really close to the back end of that Locatelli, but there's still a lap and a bit to go, and Locatelli has been faster over the last few laps, so he'll certainly think that there's going to be an opportunity that's going to present itself. We saw him make the move on lows into turn 5.
More punishment for Scott Redding. He's lost out now to Remy Gardner as well, so he's, you would presume, used up all of the tyre that he had underneath him, or he's struggling with a mechanical problem because he's now down to 9.
Yeah, the pace has absolutely dropped off a cliff for Scott. He's down into the 37s. He's a second slower than any of the other riders around him. As it is, even when you compare him back to Van der Mark, the next BMW, that gap had been 10 seconds a few laps ago. It's 5 seconds now.
Well, and Redding could be vulnerable to Petrucci here on the final lap because Petrucci was over a second faster last time around. The gap was a second at the start of this lap, and Petrucci's already got it down to 0.8 of a second. They haven't even made it through to the end of the first sector yet, so Petrucci is looking good as far as closing down Scott Redding. Meanwhile, a change of position for 4th. Andrea Locatelli, as you can see, is now ahead of Axel Bassani. Can Bassani hit back?
Yeah, turn 5, you'd imagine, once again for that move from Locatelli. So this is a very good, just grinded out result from Locatelli. That's what Yamaha want to see from him. Obviously for Toprak, it's been a tough day at the office for him. 5 seconds behind this man, Álvaro Bautista out in front. But for Locatelli, another really strong, consistent ride. Picked off the riders in front of him when the opportunities presented itself. He's going to come away with a top 5 finish.
Toprak Razgatlıoğlu coming on strong late on here. He's got the gap down to Jonathan Ray to less than a second, but he's left it too late, I think. Too little, too late as far as he is concerned. Ray's going on for 6th position as well. Alex Lowe's versus Dominic Egerter. And Egerter was 6 tenths down on Lowe's at the start of this lap. But it looks as though he might have come through now for 6th position. Off the final turn to make it 6 wins out of 7 in the 2023 campaign. Álvaro Bautista has done it again. Jonathan Ray takes 2nd position, 3 seconds behind him. Toprak only 7 tenths down at the flag. 4th position goes to Andrea Locatelli after his late pass on